Well, hey guys, welcome. So thanks for coming and checking out Volunteering Like a Pro. I'm Donnie. And this is Sarah, but I'm going to introduce myself after I just introduced you.
That's cool. You're
Okay.
good.
But I've been doing youth ministry for about 20 years. I've been at 3 different churches in the last, I don't even know how long, 18-ish years. So lots of experience working with leaders and still going strong at our new church out in Pendleton. So
Yeah. And then I'm Sarah. I was a youth pastor for 2 years in Eastern Oregon in Spray, and now I've been a volunteer in Brogan's youth group, my husband's youth group, for almost a year and a half now. So about evened out. So my youth story is a little unique that I went from pastor to volunteer instead of vice versa. But that's cool. And we're going to be sharing with you guys about how to volunteer like a pro, subtitled Don't Be Stupid. So let's do this.
it's in parentheses. So all right. Well, I wanted to start off with just this thought of, as a volunteer, answering the question of why are you here? Why do you volunteer? And there needs to be a real right reason behind it. Why are you on the team? And if it's not to support the youth pastor, maybe you shouldn't be on that team. The number one thing needs to be to support the youth pastor and the youth ministry that you are volunteering with. So that question, like, why are you here? Why are you on the team? It needs to be to help that youth pastor move forward with the vision God's given them. So that's just a huge question that I really try to have my leaders answer. Like, why are you here? And it's one of those things that if you can say, yeah, I'm here to help you, that you know you have somebody on your team that's going to come alongside you in ministry and is vital. So another thing I would suggest is just to be careful of the authority that youth pastor has. So maybe your youth pastor is younger than you, and they still have that authority over you as the pastor of that ministry. So just know that you need to be someone that listens, be someone who listens, and honestly just do what they're asking you to. Maybe at a different context, it's not age, it's experience. It's still the same authority. So make sure that you are there again for the right reasons, and that you're there for with that authority to let them speak into your life and be the pastor of that ministry. Another thing is to just check your heart. Like, make sure that your agenda and the pastor's agenda align. Make sure that your vision for the youth ministry and their vision for the youth ministry are the same thing. And just make sure that you're promoting that, and if you are there for the students alone, like if you answer that first question was, I'm here for the kids, because isn't that what I'm supposed to be here for? I would say that is the answer to that is no. There's an order to it. It needs to be to help do the ministry, and your heart should be to make the youth pastor's job easier. And if God is speaking to the youth pastor, he has a vision, they have a vision for that ministry, we need to come alongside that youth pastor and encourage them in that vision for whatever that ministry, whatever God is leading that ministry to. And again, ask the question, I'm here for the youth pastor, I'm here for the students, and I'm here because I want to be. Like, it needs to be in that order. I'm here to help the pastor, I'm here to help the students, and I'm here because I want to be. And hopefully that God aspect of that, like, well, hey, I'm here for God. Like, that should be kind of a no duh. Like, we're all on the same team, and we all want these students to draw closer to Jesus. So yeah, we all should be there for God. That shouldn't be, quite honestly, even on the list. That should be already known. But you should be there for the pastor, for the students, and then lastly, for yourself. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, who's got a couple other ideas.
So my little section is about owning the ministry. And so volunteering like a pro is how to own the ministry with the youth pastor and not from them. To own with and not from. And the way you do that is a 2-step linear process, which first starts out by helping. Help, and then move to owning the ministry by finding out what you're passionate about, what your dreams are, and being able to propel the ministry forward by really engaging in those. And so to begin by talking about helping, which became very plain to me when I went from the youth pastor to a volunteer, and Donnie kind of already hit on it, is that the authority and the anointing on the youth pastor is greater than any other leader or volunteer in the youth group. Like you're like, well, like I think I have this. Yeah, but God is speaking to the youth pastor about the direction of the youth ministry and not the volunteers. He is. And so if the youth pastor is like, I want to take us this direction, I want us to do this, then your role as a volunteer, as a leader, is to say that I'm going to step alongside you and I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to help you with this vision. Like, don't go at them immediately and say, I don't think so, I don't know, what about this, like critiquing, like, no, try it out. It might actually work because they have a direct line with God. And so start out by helping the vision that they have and make it your goal to help the socks off the youth pastor. When I was a youth pastor, one of my volunteers bought me a tote bag because every week I would haul loads of stuff up and down some stairs. And with this tote bag, I had to make like 1 or 2 trips. And she gave it to me and I cried because it was out of like her own private pocket. But that tote bag seemed so small, but it gave me energy to actually love our students well and not be so exhausted and sweaty when they came in. Like, it gave me such strength. So a volunteer owned by helping, like, it could change so much. At our current youth group, we have 2 new volunteers, and every Sunday, all they do is they come up and they say, how can I help? How can I make your job easier? What can I do? If they see a mess, they clean it up. They tear down without asking. And they are so helpful. They're not there for the spotlight. They're not there to make things a certain way. They're there to help. And that is the most encouraging thing, because it can be really hard as a volunteer, as a leader. I mean, I'm one right now. It's like, man, like, why won't the youth pastor listen to me? Like, why aren't my ideas being taken? Like, I think it should be this way. And then you're like, well, maybe I need to ask myself, how am I doing at helping, at supporting? Because God has given the youth pastor the role in the youth ministry. He or she is going to answer to God for the way the youth ministry is run, not volunteers. And so if your youth pastor is not listening to your critiques because you're not on board with the vision, that is wisdom, not folly. So get on board. Yeah. Show that by helping. Because when you have your sleeves rolled up with the youth pastor, they know that you know what it takes to run it, and they're going to start listening to you and trusting you. And so, a bit of self-evaluation, how helpful are you at youth group? Are you there for yourself? Or are you there to actually help propel the vision forward? And once you can answer that, the second step of volunteering like a pro to own the ministry is to find out what you're passionate about and then run with it. So think, what do I really enjoy? What do I love? Is it discipleship? Is it door greeting? Is it tech? Is it like the weird atmosphere light smog machine? Whatever that is, whatever you're passionate about, sit down with your youth pastor, ask them to lunch and be like, hey, can I dream with you about this area? Because this is something I'm super passionate about, and how can we make this just like a part of what youth group is? Because your youth pastor would love it if you were like, I want to do a volunteer night. I want to run the worship team. I want to become the head door greeter. Your youth pastor would probably cry, just be a puddle on the floor if you were like, I'm here to help you and make the youth ministry expand. Because that's what a pro volunteer does. They expand the ministry, but they prove that they're trustworthy by helping. And that's how they own it. And then they own it by using their gifts to propel it forward. Yeah, we thought so. And so we have a couple of basics, just like some bullet points of things that really are helpful as a volunteer to your youth pastor and just what make the youth ministry really cohesive. And so we're gonna go back and forth for a little bit and then go to questions.
Yeah, so first one is really simple, but it's kind of that basic thing. Show up and on time. It's nothing more stressful as a leader when the people who are supposed to be there helping them aren't there, and they have things planned and they're just not there, So be someone that is on time and be reliable. So.
Yeah, and then along with that reliability piece, if you're not going to be there, just let them know. If you're going to be there, let them know. Just be on time, be reliable. It's just so basic, but it's so helpful.
Yeah. Another one for me, that I find is a huge asset for my team is to be teachable. Be someone that your youth pastor can go to and speak into, correct you. Be someone that can have a critique from your from your pastor, and still be okay. Being teachable is an effective way to grow, just in your life, but in ministry especially. So just listen to them, learn from them, and don't let your pride build up a wall that will take you out of the game.
Yeah, and then my biggest pet peeve in youth ministry actually is this, that youth group isn't for the volunteers. It's for the students. And so if you're going to youth group and because you want to be validated, that you want it to be about you, that you want to have things your way, like that's not why you should be there. Like if I'm talking to a new student and a volunteer walks up to me, interrupts, and start talking to me about their life, that's not pro-volunteering. If we're like chatting with like some volunteers and a new student walks in and then sits by themselves but we want to continue our conversation because we're good friends, like that's not it either. Like it's about the students and loving the students like we would love Jesus. So you need to be in like a life group, you need to be going to church, like that's where you should process your life. That's where you should be poured into. Youth group isn't that place. Yes, your youth pastor should be loving you, but that shouldn't be your primary reason why you're there. It's for the students, not for you.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Put that one away.
So another one for me is just have reasonable expectations of your pastor. Like with the amount of time maybe you spend with each other, even outside of youth group, before youth group, all of that, how much stage time you get, how much of the youth pastor's trust you have, and how much you connect with the students. Like, make sure that your expectations are reasonable and attainable for your youth pastor, and just know that they find value in you because they've asked you to join their team. So find value in them and know that what they're doing is enough. And so just have those reasonable expectations with your leader.
And then focus on your personal spiritual growth. Because there's nothing more terrible than a needy, complaining, and toxic leader. Like, I think more often than not, the conversations that Brogan and I will have that hurt the worst are because a leader was being immature, not because a student was. Because you expect that from a student and not from a leader. And so your personal growth, like we said before, being in church, being in a life group, having good friends, having a mentor, that is essential. Because youth group cannot be the place where you are getting like your spiritual filling. Like you need to be focusing on the students. Like yes, you do matter, but youth group isn't that place. Like if God is speaking to you, yes, but that shouldn't be like every week. It's all like it's you. Like you're the one who's like needy and toxic. Like it makes it really hard. Like focus on your personal spiritual growth. Yeah. So along with that, I would say to help your pastors focus on the positive. Be that person for them. Be that positive person in their life on that team. I guarantee you they already know what went wrong that week, that night. So can you tell them what went right? Instead of going like, oh man, they blew it on stage, or oh man, that altar call was horrible. It's like, you be the one to see the things that maybe they are noticing because they're seeing all the stuff that needs to change. So be that positive influence, because that speaks so much life into your pastor, into your leader, because if they're like me, they take all the responsibility personally, and when things don't go well, we take that on our shoulders. Maybe that's unhealthy, but we do it, and we need people to come alongside of us to be that positive switch in our life, in our ministry. Yeah, and then honor the youth pastor, which we've discussed previously, but specifically when it comes to their plans. So like we've had volunteers in the past who like will set like this is the schedule, and they're like, well, we don't like that, so we're going to take the students and do this instead. Or oh, like you're right, student, like we're going to bad talk the youth pastor together. Like that's not honoring. Like if a youth pastor says something, honor them by doing it, even if you don't necessarily agree. Like follow the schedule and the plan, because that is honoring to them. Like speak life of your youth pastor on your students, and don't let them talk crap about them or other leaders. And honor that authority that they've been given, even if they're younger than you or have less experience, because that's really, really important. And will build a culture of honor within the group.
Yeah. Another one that goes along with that of honor is grace. So have grace for your youth pastor. They're human, and they can, if it's a youth night and they run by you without saying hello, don't be offended. And really, honestly, I think that's a key, is be unoffendable with your youth pastor. Like, it's so easy to take an offense when something doesn't go the way you want it to. We take it personally, and really, we just need to show grace to that leader, because they have so much more on their plate and running in their head, seeing the full vision of what's happening, where maybe your focus is on this, which is important to you, which is important to the youth pastor, but it's not the whole story. And we just need to have more grace with our leaders.
And then something that Will hit on a little bit earlier is be a youth leader, not their friend, which is kind of an interesting balance to walk. But students already have friends. They need leaders. They need adults in their lives who are willing to speak truth, to love them, but to also not let them get away with things like their friends would. So like the way you hang out with them, when you hang out with them, the number of people there are, like nothing's more awkward than when a 34-year-old adult is like, actually my best friend is a 16-year-old in the youth group. That's not okay. Like, you need to be a youth leader, not a friend.
Yeah.
Which can be awkward, but.
Yeah. Also, I would say don't expect your youth pastor to know what they don't know. So if you have relationships with students that your pastors don't have, that's actually healthy and good. But if they're confiding in you things that the pastor needs to know, but you're holding that back from them because of, again, maybe that friend-leader relationship isn't healthy and those boundaries aren't set, what that creates is a weak ministry, because the pastor can't pastor into those things that they need to know about. So make sure that your youth pastor needs to know. You need to tell them. Don't hold back that information, that key things about a student, just because confidentiality and trust that they can be trusted.
And then kind of the last thing we have is be wise when you bring your comments and concerns to your youth pastor, because we're not perfect. We know I'm married to one, I was one, like we have issues, like problems. And you need to be able to, if you have that trust built up, to be like, hey, so I was thinking, so I was wondering, I have a question about this, like this happened and I was really just confused, like can we talk about this? The time to do that is not right before youth group or right after, or even the day after, I would say. Like, give a little bit of time for them to rest and recuperate and kind of get to a place where they're ready to have those conversations in a healthy way. Like, I know, like, it can't wait. It has to happen now. Oh, it can wait. It can wait a little while, because those conversations need to be taken, but in a way where it'll be beneficial to all parties.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things that we've kind of hit on, it's easy to look and be like, wow, they sound kind of bitter. Like we kind of are. We've had some pretty crappy leaders in the past. And a volunteer team, the leader team to a youth pastor, will either breathe life or death. And when we have leaders that just tear us apart, it is like, it's awful. Like we mentioned before, you're not supposed to be the one I'm having problems with. Like, these students are already weighing on my heart, and yet you are also tearing me apart. Like we discussed it earlier, that almost every youth pastor in this building, I can almost guarantee, has arrows in their back that they can't tell anybody about. And so take the arrows out, don't add more. But a good youth leader gives such life and power to the youth ministry that is unreal. And yes, your youth pastor should be loving you and encouraging you, but that shouldn't be your reason you serve. And that shouldn't be the caveat of whether or not you respect them, is if you feel loved in return. Kind of like in a marriage. And so we just want to give you guys some advice, some tidbits, and just encourage you to love your youth pastors, love your students, and be a pro.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. So we have a couple minutes, so we want to open up to questions. If anybody had any questions, we might spit some more wisdom. I don't know.
Pew, pew, pew.
But anyways, if you have any questions, go for it. You just walked in, you have to have a question.
Luis was here after the last session.
So, cool. Well, something...
Grady.
Oh, Grady. All right, good.
So something you said is those leader-student relationships get kind of tough, but we also encourage students to be leaders on leadership teams. What about that line right there, where say a senior in high school with a 7th grader, they're a leader and
It's true.
Well, yeah. So in that instance, what I have done is I want to set my leaders up to succeed. So I'm not going to put a senior in high school in real awkward positions to have adult leadership moments. So we want to have wins for those student leaders. So maybe it's not small group leader, but they're the ones that are they're my the greeters at the front. They're the ones helping set the worship set for the month. They're the ones that are come alongside us dreaming at a meeting. We have our leaders meeting and hey, what are we doing with the calendar? Let's get our seniors in here to help us plan, So not putting them in positions to have to navigate difficult stuff that maybe they're just not prepared or ready for. Setting them up for success to give them the opportunity for later in life to go, man, I love being a student leader. I'm ready to take that next step and be an adult leader, So, but to that point, if that does happen, that's just conversations that I would have with the student. Man, that's a really hard conversation. This is what I would do. And then invite them into the conversation with that kid. Don't just bring them back to that student. Okay, go say this to them. No, let's the three of us have this talk. Hey, so-and-so shared this with me. They're concerned about what happened. Let's talk about it. So you're pouring into that kid, taking the responsibility off of the student leader, and then both of them are learning how to grow. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's good. Maturity level leadership positions. We would never put a 9th grader as the small group leader for an 8th grade group. No, seniors and middle schoolers is but if we have them be small group leaders, the main leader is an adult and they're helping. And if they are going to be at events, they're going to be with everybody. They can pray for middle schoolers, but we in general don't have high schoolers be the small group leaders. They do other things and they involve in other things, but that, you're right, it does get kind of messy. Not that seniors and 6th graders are necessarily best friends. We've also split our 2 services, so it adds a little bit of differences, but I would agree. Just maturity level wise, set them up for success.
Yeah. Sweet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we're starting off we've helped with youth group and we're starting off a new youth group. And how do you guys, as married couples, you and Jen and your husband, how do you guys work together as youth group leaders, but keep your marriage separate at youth group, but also be be a couple in youth group? Say he's the primary leader of your youth group. You're a volunteer, also his wife. So how do you guys not bump heads about certain things and still love each other and pillar each other through what you're building as youth group leaders as a team?
Yeah, no, that's a super good question. Yeah, especially since I was a youth pastor before, I've struggled with validation. I want the students to see me as their youth pastor. I want to be the one in charge. I want to be the one who's I want them to go to me to pray for, but they go to Brogan because he's the youth pastor.
Right.
And so it is a humbling moment for me to be I cannot take Brogan's authority because God hasn't given it to me. He's given it to Brogan. So that's been a huge humbling point for myself to say, no, I am I'm a volunteer, but I have a lot of, God has given me some authority, but he's mainly given it to Brogan, so I'm going to honor him in that. What we do is there comes a point where we stop talking about youth. We only really talk about youth group things during office hours. If Brogan's in the office, then we talk about youth group. If we're home, we don't. Sometimes we will, but we try to keep it really brief. If it's during the day, we're okay, let's talk about youth group. Let's set up a meeting between us two, as if I was a volunteer and he was setting it up with our lead worship person. Let's set up a meeting and just kind of keep that separate. What Donnie said at the last meeting was that I try to be an ear for Brogan to listen to his problems without offering advice necessarily. If he asks for it, I'll give it, but I'm just going to listen and not be someone who's just going to be oh, well, you just need a whatever, because I understand. I'm just going to listen and be safe for you. And so that's kind of how we don't bump heads, is we make sure, but also at youth group, we still are married at youth group, because the students value our marriage, because a lot of them don't have a good marriage at home. but we're not like making out, and we don't like talk about it all the time. We've had a youth pastor in the past who like was like all the time, like every Sunday, my wife's so hot. Like, no, we don't do that. Like, we encourage and build the other person up, but not in a weird, creepy way.
Right.
Like, and that boundary you kind of have to set. But that's kind of, like, I'm just like, we set roles, and then we have an open conversation.
Yeah, that's good.
Good, that's good.
Yeah, what are kind of things that we do?
Well, with Jennifer, we have a different kind of, I don't know, agreement or whatever. So, you know, her role in our ministry, she really comes alongside as that help to me. Not so much as a youth pastor. She's always there to give me the correction, the real that I need when I'm like whiny and like, hey, stop, you know. But she kind of, Sarah said, is that safe person I can go to when I just need to go, bleh, this happened, and not have to have the answer for the problem. And I think we just really show each other grace, knowing that we both have the same desire as for students to pursue God's presence and to fall in love with Jesus for the rest of their life. You know, to be lifelong followers of God. And when we do get frustrated or whatever, I don't know. I don't know how much that happens to us, honestly. I think Jennifer is amazing at just knowing what I need and being able to provide those things as a help in ministry. And yet I validate her as someone who has a voice. She's a help, decision-making, guiding, vision, all of those things. We do that together. But she's someone that I can trust to know that I can whine all day long and she can stop it and call me on it, but then knows when I just need to let it out, you know? So, yeah.
How long have you been in ministry?
20 years.
Yeah, that's why she knows what he needs. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of time.
We've been married for 21.
Yeah.
So,
We've been doing this for like 1 year, so just open lines of communication all the time. And we've had conversations where I'm like, Brogan, you didn't tell me I was hosting. Until you work on the stage, like, no, sir.
I've done that. I do that all the time. I do that all the time.
I'm like, and then it hurts because I'm like, I'm your wife. You should tell me these things. But then we just talk after and have so much grace.
Right.
And then I'm like, hey, I will do anything you ask, but I will not lead worship rehearsal. And then he's like, okay, then you won't. And so we just open communication all the time and show so much grace.
Yeah.
That's good.
And she tells me when I'm being stupid.
Can I add a little thing to that?
Yeah.
One thing I try to do, and when I say try, I'm not good at it. But I try to validate Sarah as my wife, and then at separate times validate her as a volunteer to help the kids see she's not one or the other, she's both. So there are times where I'm like, my wife Sarah is amazing at home at this. And then the next week, one of the things I love about Sarah at youth group is she does this. I also try to validate her as much as I validate other leaders, not more and not less, because she's the same leader as the others. Like, she's not a lesser, but she's also not greater. She's a leader, and she gets to be she's my wife. We're married, but she's not better than my other middle school female leader who's doing just as good of a job. So I try to validate leader Sarah and wife Sarah so the kids recognize that, but also my leaders know, okay, he's validating his wife right now. Now he's validating his leader.
And if I could also say, just as a pastor's wife, you know, the unspoken expectations on them, for them to have a place to come to do the same thing and just be frustrated and be real and not have the solution. Just, you know, the pressure of that, you know, is kind of always there, and it probably always will be. So just, and it goes back to grace and just being there for each other, and knowing that you both have the same goal. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a party. We forgive each other a lot.
Right? Yeah.